talking about Boxabl, I'm not the biggest bull, and I want to just be very, very careful with what I say because some of the things I say are potentially based on outdated information. Maybe I'm being too bearish, but let me be very clear. This idea that you can build a $50,000 casita, great, maybe before the pandemic. And that was done. But the $50,000 casita, and this is something that bothers me as somebody who used to be a licensed contractor, operated a licensed contracting business, passed the licensed contracting test. I've gone through real estate investing for well over a decade, and I deal with this sort of stuff. What's remarkable, we're almost 13 years in real estate, it's crazy. What's remarkable about the Boxabl Casita is that you have to remember the $50,000 casita pre-inflation days does not include a roof. It doesn't include cladding on the outside of the building, which would be like your stucco or siding. It does not include the foundation. It does not include the plumbing or electrical lines to get you there. It does not include the permits or the architecture fees to get you there. It doesn't include all of those things. What you're getting is a box for $50,000 pre-inflation. That's probably now a $70,000 box post-inflation. And you're getting limited customizability, obviously, and that makes sense because you're trying to manufacture these en masse. However, the massive concern that I have is that most of the sales of Boxabl Casitas have been demo units or they have been to the CIA for Guantanamo Bay. And Guantanamo Bay, according to a very detailed report from the New York Times, I know a lot of people, they put the tinfoil hat on, they're like, I don't like the New York Times, I don't trust the word they say. That's fine. I don't particularly like the New York Times myself. I have the honor of having a shit post about me in the New York Times. Actually, I think I have two. No, one's not that bad though. But anyway, so I have the honor of being in the New York Times. So I get to bag on them too. But the point is, they have and you can just search this yourself, Boxabl Casita, Guantanamo Bay. Okay, yeah, that's where you go like waterboard and torture terrorists, okay? Unofficially, officially. Anyway, apparently the CIA ordered 150 approximately of these Boxabl Casitas, and because they don't come with a roof, most of them ended up turning into a moldy crap show because you have a massive logistic nightmare of basically, okay, here are your 150 units, and then it's like, well, great, but the roofer's not available yet. And so the time, like being able to time the delivery of these is a problem, especially in the tropics. So they cover them with blue tarps, and now they're like molding up. Now you can point the finger at Guantanamo, you could point the finger at the process, you could point the finger at Boxabl. I don't know, but the point is, when Boxabl tells us that they have manufactured hundreds of these Boxabl Casitas, the reality is 150 of them are molding in Guantanamo Bay, and most of the other ones are just freaking demo units so the company can raise more money. So in my opinion, what I'm seeing with Boxabl is a company that has apparently a manufacturing line number one, which is really just for like 5 units of a demo unit or whatever. Maybe that's where they somehow came up with the first 150, I'm not sure. Then they have the Vegas facility, which I would like to be proven wrong on this. So I'd like to tour the Boxabl Vegas facility. I don't know if after this video they'd still invite me. I'd want to be upfront with people, okay? When I like to give my reasonable criticisms, because if anything, I want the company to succeed. We have a massive housing crisis. Housing is unaffordable, right? And so the idea of a $50,000 box, which is probably now $70,000, plus foundation, architecture, roof, and cladding, you're probably at $125,000 to $150,000 project, right? Being real here, the idea of 50K is pretty much clickbait. You're probably at about a $150,000 project. I'd like to be proven wrong though. And again, just like with Archimoto, I made a warning video. After I met with the CEO, I'm like, you should not be going into bikes. You should not be trying to license out your projects so that other people can manufacture them. You should take one thing, the Deliverator or whatever you want, mass produce it as soon as possible. But I think once they realized that manufacturing is hard, they shut down, they gave up, and now they're going bankrupt. I gave that warning over 9 months ago, well before, actually, no, it was somewhere around March, no, it might have been March, yeah, maybe March of 2022 or so, when the stock was still worth a whole lot more. I posted that warning. But anyway, the point is, those are the similar kind of warnings that I'm seeing with Boxabl. I'm seeing this warning with Boxabl that now they're raising more money because manufacturing is hard, and they're not actually able to properly manufacture out of their second facility. So now the idea is, well, we have a lot of reservations. Well, of course you do, because it's an underpriced, unrealistic unit. You're not going to sell these things for 50 grand anyway. But these reservations help you raise more money from investors. And now, because you realize your second facility is already inadequate, even though it's new, you want to have a third factory? This sounds bad. I'm probably one of the only people that's actually bearish on Boxabl right now. But I maybe I'm too critical, okay? Maybe I'm being too critical, but I'm just saying, I understand costs. I understand how hard it is to hire people. I understand how hard it is, and I understand I know very little about manufacturing, but I know it's very hard. And anytime I look at companies that are manufacturers, I see the pain, I feel the pain, I get it. Manufacturing sucks, especially in an environment of supply chain issues, especially in that sort of environment. And then the reality is Boxabl got a massive boost because lumber prices were skyrocketing and they don't use lumber. So everybody's like, this is fantastic. You have a lumber alternative. Well, that was fantastic during the pandemic, but guess what's happening now? Lumber prices have plummeted. It's probably cheaper to build a guest unit or a casita out of lumber than it is out of the composites that they use right now. So you've got massive issues with Boxabl. Manufacturing issues, the fact that the reality is the $50,000 unit's probably not $50,000 anymore. So the original price is clickbait, but beyond that, people who are investing into Boxabl, in my opinion, aren't realizing that you have to get cladding for the outside of the property. You have to get a roof on the unit. You got to get a foundation. You got to get electrical. You got to get plumbing. You got to get a sewer line. You got the water line, the gas line. You got to get all of these things run to the property. Maybe you don't do gas. Maybe it's just electricity. That's fine. But in some areas, gas is actually more affordable. Unless, of course, you don't want to go for a gas stove or cooktop, because that's unpopular now in certain areas, or they're getting banned in some of the liberal areas, which there are a lot of people who are frustrated about that. This idea that it's woke to go for an induction cooktop. What's insane, and I don't know if I have that video posted somewhere, but I used to have it on my website, but it's been a long time. But about 12 years ago, I had let me see if I can find it. About 12 years ago, it might have even been longer ago, about a long time ago, I posted a video, and it was short. It was like 30 seconds. It was before short videos were a thing, before TikTok was a thing. I posted a video talking about induction cooktops and how phenomenal they are. Here it is. July 13th, 2013. This is insane. Is it public?
Sometimes
Oh yeah, here it is. Okay, hold on. I'll just show it to you. Okay, you ready for this? This is insane. This is a long time ago. I don't even know why I'm showing this, but I'm going to do it anyway. You ready for this? It's 42 seconds long. Look at that, posted 9 years ago.
I get asked, hey, Kevin, why did you buy an electric induction cooktop when you could have had gas? You have the gas line right there. Well, here's my answer. The first reason, it's easier to clean. There are no grates to scrape or clean under. It's flat. Second reason is safety. Been heating this for a couple minutes. Probably shouldn't heat it anymore. There's no flame. Boom! Put my hand right on it. It's cold. The only thing that heats up is the bottom of the pan. The third reason? It cooks faster. Some say 30% faster than gas. That way, when I need to cook organic corn pasta, I can do it faster.
Stupid. Oh my god. So, again, I don't know where that came from. But the point is, this is like a giant tangent on induction cooktops. But big fan, okay? And this is before the whole like, oh, you're woke if you go induction. Like, induction's awesome. You want grates? Barbecue outside. Induction is phenomenal. And don't talk to me about conduction, like the stupid spirally electric ones, the ones you have in like the poor apartments, which I grew up in. I grew up with the stupid little spiral coils that turn orange, and it's the cooktop that's really old because you're poor and you don't have a new one, and it sucks, and it takes forever to heat up, and it's really hot, and you burn yourself on it. It's just trash. Not talking about that. Induction's great. Anyway, off that rant. Let's now get back to Boxabl. So you have massive problems with Boxabl. In my opinion, again, number one, it's the real cost of being done with the project probably exceeds the actual cost of just conventional framing. The second problem that you have is I don't think the company is capable of properly scaling manufacturing. They show off their manufacturing facility, but I am very nervous that the manufacturing facility they're scaling or they're showing off, they're already suggesting they're outgrowing. That makes me more nervous. And then the third thing is, I think that so number one would be all of the extra costs that go into it. Number two would be the inability to scale, and number three is I think the inflationary costs are going to make the $50,000 unit $70,000, so the base price is going to be a lot more expensive. So I'm a bear. I'm not very bullish on Boxabl. So I appreciate the question here, and these are just I hope to be proven wrong, but because again I do think that we are in a massive housing crisis. And I think we need cheaper housing. We also need cities and states that are willing to support more housing. I was blown away by this, but the LA Times actually just exposed Governor Newsom for something I've been talking about for a long time. Long time. I mean, ever since this bill passed, this SB 9 passed, I've been complaining that basically it's impossible to build homes through SB 9 in California. So SB 9 came out and the suggestion was, we're gonna let people turn garages into guest units or build guest units in their backyards. And the city has to approve that within 60 days. I spent 2 years going through the approval process on 2 properties, and it was hell. It was hell to get approval, and I still didn't get approval on one of them because they said, we just decided it's in a fire zone and we don't want you to build there. And it's like, after 2 years, you tell me that? Y'all are assholes. I mean, that is California, right? But look at that. SB 9, and this was supposed to actually be a big boon to companies like Boxabl because people could then get approval and then go build a unit in a single family home and throw a Boxabl down. This is actually more bad news. SB 9 was introduced 2 years ago. This was while I was running against Gavin Newsom for governor, and he's over at the Google campus bragging about how he's passing this new housing bill. But then again, Governor Newsom's a total fraud and a failure at doing anything with balls in the state of California because he wants to run for president and he doesn't want to rock the boat. Fine. But here's the LA Times, who's basically the mouthpiece for Gavin Newsom, bagging on him, saying the bill he passed so far is failing. And so the bill received bipartisan support to add housing, whatever. Neither argument for adding housing has been proven so far. Across 13 cities studied in the state, SB 9 projects are limited to non-existent, according to UC Berkeley. Hey, I got into Berkeley. I didn't end up going to Berkeley. I went to UCLA instead. But anyway, the report focused on cities considered high opportunity areas for duplexes because they've reported significant increases in the construction of ADUs, known as granny flats, casitas, or ADUs in recent years. ADUs, small freestanding homes, whatever. The cities are listed right here. Okay, great. San Diego, Anaheim, so on and so forth. By the end of November, cities had collectively received 282 applications for SB 9 projects, had approved only 53. Dude, I'm one of the people getting screwed by this. Los Angeles accounted for the bulk of applications, receiving 211, and only approved 38. What a fraud these cities are. What a freaking fraud. You have this, and I mean, we should know this about California already, but you have the governor who's like, we are going to allow people to build guest units. So people spend tens of thousands of dollars with architects to do what the state law says. And what does the city government say? Yeah, we'll sit on these because we're the city of Los Angeles and we're a real fraud. Oh my God, California's governments suck. Applications for divided lots seem even less popular. Just 100 applications were submitted. Only 28 had been approved. SB 9 is only in its first year of implementation, and we should give it more time to judge if it's effective. No, David Garcia, why don't you spend 2 years and $50,000 on paperwork trying to get 2 projects turned into SB 9 projects yourself, and then tell me if we should give it time. It's ineffective because the cities don't give a shit, and you're an idiot who obviously doesn't realize it. Sorry, I'm upset because I'm trying to provide more housing in the state of California, and it's basically impossible. And when the LA Times and a study from Berkeley, both very liberal institutions, are reiterating that the government of California is an abject failure, you know it's probably worse than it even is being talked about. So, to circle back into Boxabl, California was supposed to be one of the markets where it was easy to plop a casita down and a Boxabl down. That's why they're manufacturing them in Vegas, because it's right next to California, which is supposed to be a big old market for building casitas easily. Yeah, there goes that idea out the window. So if you need a fourth reason why I'm nervous about Boxabl, it's because California is a fraud. But then again, here I am still living in California and complaining about it. The good news is I've learned my lesson. And the lesson I learned is don't build guest units in California. Instead, buy single family homes and basically, over the long term, watch them go up in value because the government is too stupid to add more housing or housing availability. So if you want to get rich in California, just buy real estate. And yeah, you've got a nice little market dip over here because mortgage rates skyrocketed thanks to the Fed. That's the macro cycle. But in the long term, California is probably a great place to buy housing because the government is moronic. And that's not good for Boxabl. So how's that for a rant about housing for you? Move to Texas. You know, actually, yeah, if you move to Texas, you could basically just buy some 2x4s and start building. Obviously a little exaggerated, but yeah, buy a tough shed and drywall it into a mini home. You know, the problem with that, okay, and in fairness to California, the problem with that is you are in an earthquake zone, and you do need to build things according to standard, okay? What credit score should I have before buying a single family house for yourself? Who cares? Just get a good deal and buy when the market is right. I think the market's going to be right later this year. Obviously, the higher credit score you have, the lower the pricing is, but if you get a good deal, who cares, man? Once you fix your credit, you can hopefully be in a position to refinance to a lower rate. But I think if you get a great property, at a great deal, you can increase your net worth. It doesn't matter if your credit's 620 or 740. 740 is obviously ideal, but I wouldn't, wait to be perfect to buy. Kevin, closing on a house in 3 weeks. Should I lock my rate before? Okay, well, I mean, that's just pure speculation, right? At this point, I think markets are positioning in a bearish mood. If we get a miss on the CPI, you could actually, in my opinion, see a substantial plummet in rates. Here's the thing, though, and this is evil, okay? This is why you watch my channel. Sorry to the lenders who are going to hear this, but here's the asshole move. The asshole move is you lock your rate, and then if rates go higher, your rate's locked. You're good. If rates plummet after you locked your rate, you call a different lender. Okay, it's really mean, but that's one way you can double hedge yourself. Sorry, okay? Listen, that's why people sign up for programs on building their wealth, link down below, because Kevin's got a whole ton of ideas that nobody talks about on the internet that you get in a nice list in the real estate investing course and the yourself property management course and the stocks and psychology of money course. I'm chock full of ideas like that. Anyway, okay.